use says and speaks. That means what? These two are ruled out. Says, speaks, you cannot consider. What is the reason? They go with everyday English, not with data. Generally, when you talk about a particular data or the results of a particular survey, we use either reveals or states, and we don't use the word proclaim. What is the meaning of the word proclaim? To announce publicly, to announce, to state something publicly. The word doesn't go with data. It goes with what? It goes with an organization, a union, a group. They proclaim. It doesn't go with something like this. So what does it mean? It is out of context, not relevant. Now, how many options are there you have to choose from? One is reveals, the second is states. It could be either way. Now we have to decide on the basis of the second word. The tourism data reveals that Indians are amongst the biggest spenders while on holidays. Or the tourism data states that Indians are surrounded the biggest. When you use the word surround, surround is what? It is a verb. Surrounded, it takes the preposition by. Surrounded by someone, surrounded by something. So what does it mean? Based on the second word, we cannot consider surrounded. But here you may get a doubt. Already some of my students, if they remember, I said what is the difference between among and amongst? But before that, let me ask a question. What is the difference between and among? Two persons or two things between. More than two, among. Now the question is, what is the difference between among and amongst? If you remember, I told amongst is used if the word after that begins with a vowel letter or a vowel sound. That is one dimension. I also talked about the second dimension. What is the second dimension? It is a literary expression. Literary. That means what? It goes with formal English. It goes with formal situations. So here you may get confused a little. What is the reason? Amongst, what is the next word? The biggest. There is no vowel letter, there is no vowel sound. But still, you should think of literary expression, that means a formal expression. Based on that count, what is the answer here? The answer is the second option. The tourism data reveals that Indians are amongst the biggest spenders while on holidays. There is one more related word. Please make a note of this word. So what does it mean? It means surrounded by. Amidst means what? Surrounded by. Now today we'll do the paper, we'll look at the paper from a different angle. Now generally what happens, many students, they try to look at the paper from one particular perspective. It's a narrow perspective, narrow outlook. What is it? What is the question? What is the answer? There ends the matter. But try to look beyond. I have been telling you people the same thing. Now any sentence, look at every word meticulously. See if there is something to learn. And also think from the passage point of view. When it comes to the prelims or mains, also think from the descriptive paper point of view. If you remember, I gave one concept. What is that? Sleep's concept. Do you remember? So I gave about 50 topics. Under economy, I gave tourism also, if you remember. Economy topics, I gave tourism. I gave foreign trade, 2 topics. So tourism today is very important for India. What is the reason? Indian government has been trying for the last 2 or 3 decades to get foreign exchange. So what are the sources for foreign exchange? One is tourism industry, the other is foreign trade. Yes or no? So foreign trade, tourism. Again, tourism, there's so many countries in the world which are very popular, tourist point of view. But India, what is it popular for? In the past, it is popular for the monuments, the cultural factor. But today, India has become a popular tourist destination from two angles. One is it has become popular for ecotourism. Please make a note, you may get this as a passage. Ecotourism. What is ecotourism? Going to a place which has a lot of greenery and enjoying the nature, enjoying the scenic beauty of a particular place without damaging the place or the scenic beauty. Ecotourism. Eco means environmental friendly or related to nature. And one more is very popular, please make a note, you may get that also as a passage. The second one is health tourism. Today health tourism is also very popular. Health tourism, not generally speaking, here health tourism means yoga. Yoga is very popular. These Americans are crazy people. Actually yoga belongs to us. How many of you practice yoga here? Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 or 5 students. But if you go to the US, you'll be shocked to know, after the automobile industry, after information technology, the third biggest industry in the US is yoga industry. They're so crazy about yoga. Every street you come across, every nook and corner you come across a yoga studio. They use the word studio. And they practice different types of yoga. It's a multi-million-dollar industry. But here we are not bothered about yoga, though it belongs to us. It is very unfortunate. So please make a note. This question you should ask yourself, please underline the word tourism. Tourism industry, there is a possibility to get as a passage, and also in the descriptive paper they may ask you to write about tourism industry, especially ecotourism. So you should ask yourself, do I have information about tourism industry? How many of you can say yes? If you have to write an essay on tourism, ecotourism, health tourism, only 2 students. So you should always ask yourself, do I have information? If tomorrow I have to write an essay on tourism, will I be able to write? It is an important topic. I think I gave long back the 50 topics. One of the topics is tourism. So today you should be in a position to say, yes, I can write an essay about tourism industry, especially ecotourism or health tourism. That's how you have to look at every question. And the second aspect, related to tourism, how many words do you know? When you ask yourself the question, any topic, important topic, we have what we call lexical terms. What are those called? Lexical terms means what? Related words related to the topic. So here the topic, let us say tourism. Do you know the word? This word is in the limelight. Globe-trotter, T-R-O-T-T-E-R. Please make a note. Globe-trotter means what? A person who travels a lot around the world. A person who travels around the world quite often. So this is an important word, it is in the limelight. Second word, generally we pronounce this as, we don't say itinerary, it is a bit difficult. So what do we say? Itinerary. Itinerary means what? The travel plan. Please write the meaning of that word. Travel plan. Itinerary means what? You want to go abroad for 10 days. For 10 days you have a plan. First day in New York, second day in Paris, third day somewhere else. So the 10-day plan is called what? Itinerary. So that is also an important word. So like this, you should always ask yourself, what is the question? What is there to learn from the question? What are the words I can recollect based on the question? So that approach will help you in the long run. Now let us see question number 2. The Health Ministry has approved major expansion of postgraduate seats in key departments of AIIMS. To do what? To something. the severe, again a blank, of specialists across the country. Now here you have to choose a verb to do something, but all the 5 options, except how many options are there with the verb form? To address, yes. To correct, yes. To improve, yes. To rectify also you can consider, but to good. So 5th option is ruled out. Now we have to decide based on the second word. Shall I go on? So the Health Ministry has approved major expansion of postgraduate seats in key departments of AIMS 2. Address. Address is both a noun as well as a verb. As a noun, you all know the meaning. As a verb, what does it mean? Address the problem means deal with the problem, tackle the problem. Please write the meaning of the word address. First you write address, noun, verb, both. So as a verb, to deal with or to tackle. Address means what? To deal with or to tackle. Deal with the problem, tackle the problem, address the problem. And it is a regular verb. Address, addressed, addressed. It takes ed. Have you copied? And what is the second word? To address the severe dearth of. Dearth means what? Shortage. Very good. So this seems correct, but we'll check other options also. To correct the severe loss of specialists. But correct is not the right word here. We cannot consider this based on the first option. To correct the severe loss of specialists across. Correct usually goes with an action, but here it is a situation, not an action. You can correct your actions, but here it is what? A situation. What is the third one? To improve the severe damage of. That makes no sense at all. Improve the damage, no one does it. So what does it mean? What is the answer here? And no, one more option is there. To rectify the severe limits of specialists. That also doesn't make any sense. So what is the answer here? To address the severe dearth of specialists. Question number 3. With the prolonged wedding season, grammatically it is correct. Ongoing wedding season, grammatically correct. Instant wedding season. Season never happens instantly. It has its own cycle. So based on this, we cannot consider the third option. With the sudden wedding season again in our country, it has its own time, a particular month or a few months. It cannot be sudden. So based on the first option, that is also ruled out. With the estimated wedding season, you can never estimate a season. It is also ruled out. So what are you left with? With the prolonged wedding season, people are leaving no stone unturned. This is a very good idiomatic expression. Please underline. Leave no stone unturned means to put in every effort, to try every source. You should not leave any stone unturned to get selected. What does it mean? You should touch every book, you should touch every source. So with the prolonged wedding season, people are leaving no stone unturned to make the wedding cards look beyond. Look beyond, does it make any sense? No. So what does it mean? Based on the second word, we cannot consider the first option. So what is the second option you are left with, or the only option you are left with? With the ongoing wedding season, means the season is on, ongoing wedding season, people are leaving no stone unturned to make the wedding cards look what? Special, obviously. Everyone wants the wedding card to look special. So what is the answer here? The second option is the answer. Question number 4. 3 unknown assailants, underline the word, came, rode, arrived, approached, climbed on motorcycles. Generally we don't say that. This is ruled out. Now came on motorcycles and opened shooting. Opened shooting doesn't make any sense. Grammatically not correct. So don't just hold that one. Some of you may think it is right. Rode on motorcycles and opened rounds. But generally we don't say rode on motorcycles. That is not, usage point of view, not acceptable. What is the third option? Arrived on motorcycles. Generally we say they arrived on something. So this is acceptable. What is the second word? Open fire. That is effective English. Open fire, literally if you take, how can you open fire? You can never open fire. But what does it mean? Open fire means to start shooting. What does it mean? To start shooting. So based on that, open fire. So how does it go, the sentence? 3 unknown assailants arrived on motorcycles and opened fire barely a few meters from where the actor was shooting. So perfect. So what is the answer here? The third option is the answer. See, all these sentences, I don't know how you people feel. How do you feel? Easy or difficult? No response. Those who read newspapers regularly, they feel very happy when they see questions like this. What is the reason? All these sentences from various newspapers, there is no need of the second reading. One reading, happily you will go for the right answer, right option. Now we'll see the last one. The police achieved in solving a car theft. Just achieved, victorious. The police victorious, does it sound correct? No. The police are victorious, the verb is missing, so this one is ruled out. The police famed. This is also not grammatically correct. The police who are famed. Next, the police succeeded in cracking a car theft. This sounds correct. They succeeded. Succeeded in what? Cracking means solving. Solving what? A car theft. This seems perfect. But we'll check the last option. What is it? The police failed in assigning a car. Why will the police assign a car theft? This is not correct. Failed is okay, but in assigning, that is not correct. So what does it mean? The answer is the fourth option. The police succeeded in cracking. It's a case. In cracking, what is a case? A car theft case within a matter of 2 hours of registration of the complaint. That means they're very efficient. So when it comes to police, do you know which country police are considered the best in the world? What is the name of UK? What is the name? Scotland Yard, Scotland Police. They are known as Scotland Yard. They are considered the best in the world when it comes to that particular department. Has anyone got all the 5 correct? Oh, quite a few. That's really appreciable. Please give them a big hand. All these sentences look familiar. I have a feeling we have done already. Yes or no? We have done. That means what? You should get 25 plus. Now when elections in the country due shortly, do you see any error here? People are determined to register as voters and to vote for candidates based on their track record and the programs that they intend to implement for the betterment of the country. Now, where do you think the error is? The first part, what is the error? There are 2 errors here. First part, there are 2 errors. First error, don't use change when to as. As elections in the country, not when. And what is the second error? As elections in the country are due. Something is due. Something is. But here it is plural. Elections are due shortly. As elections in the country are due shortly. So 2 errors, not 1 error. Question number 7. This is an important one. Please put a star mark. Underline a quarter. That is a fraction. At least a quarter of the world's corals. How many of you know the meaning of the word corals? What are corals? Have you ever seen corals? They are marine animals. They are the most beautiful. If you go underwater, if you dive underwater, you see a beautiful, rich marine ecosystems. And corals form underwater ecosystems, you must have seen. And these are rich in colors and they support rich marine life. You see different types of marine life. You see fish, you see a lot of invertebrates like sea anemones. You must have seen one movie, Nemo or Nemo. So they show, they show this sea anemone and one fish. That fish is known as ribbon fish or clownfish. They are all part of coral reefs. Coral reefs are known as today if you take the land, the rich flora and fauna, where do you find? Which forest? Evergreen forest. Where do you find? Evergreen forest. So corals are known as the evergreen forests of the oceans. They support rich life. So unfortunately today, coral reef, the biggest coral reef or the coral reef, there's one particular reef, I forgot the name. It is in Australia, along the coast of Australia. And because of pollution, a lot of marine life are getting killed. It is in the limelight. So here he talks about that. At least a quarter of the world's corals have lost. Do you find some problem? Do you think some problem is there? Corals never do action. We do something and corals receive action. Whenever we talk about someone or something, if that someone or something receives action, we are supposed to use active voice or passive voice? Passive voice. Here, have lost. Which tense is it? Present perfect. Present perfect, active voice. But it should be in present perfect, passive voice. We have lost the chain. Change it to passive voice. The chain has been lost. So what is missing here? The word been is missing. So at least a quarter of the world's corals have been lost. We have lost corals. Corals have been lost. But here you may have the doubt, you may ask the question, sir, we see the expression a quarter. A quarter sounds and looks singular. So how come you have used, you say have been is correct. That's why I said please underline a quarter and put a star mark. When you use a fraction, I repeat, when you use a fraction, generally after the fraction you see a phrase. What is a phrase here? Don't ask me what is a phrase. Of the world's corals. So generally when you use a fraction, begin a sentence with a fraction, then it is usually followed by a phrase. The noun in the phrase decides the verb. So what is the noun in this phrase? Corals. Is it singular or plural? Then we have to use a plural verb. Generally I give the example, 2/3. What is the fraction here? 2/3. 2/3. Now I am smiling. This student over here, next to you. You are not here. You are in some other world. Please, if you are really tired, you have a problem, go take rest. I don't have any problem. But please don't sleep in my class. Once I attended a conference in Chennai, international conference, a speaker came from Singapore. So generally, workshops, conferences, it's a general statement. People go, they are curious. They want to see the speakers, listen to them, some of them. They would like to have food. They're very fond because usually workshops and conferences, they are conducted in 5-star hotels and they serve delicious food and they have heavily. So after this post-lunch session, usually the audience, usually this, doze off. So the speaker from Singapore, internationally renowned speaker, he looked around, he could make out the situation. He said, I see a lot of people over here, a lot of delegates dozing off. My only request, please don't snore. You can doze off, but please don't snore. So I don't want to make that request to you. Please wake up and be in the class. So what is that I was talking about? 2/3 of the book is a phrase. What is the noun here? Book, singular. 2/3 of the book is interesting. Book is interesting. I changed the noun. 2/3 of the books are either expensive or interesting, whatever. So that you should remember. They gave this in many exams, fraction related question. So please make a note. This question is related to, there are two dimensions. One is it is related to the fraction. The second is related to present perfect tense in passive voice. Mind you, generally they ask questions in present perfect passive voice. Very difficult to make out if the sentence is lengthy. This sentence is very lengthy, pretty lengthy. How many of you have got this one correct? Please raise your hands. Not even 20 students, but all of you have learned present perfect passive voice already. This is what I've been telling you people. When we teach in a simple way. We try to make it very simple because you should get the concepts. But exam, it won't be like that. You have to first learn, consolidate the concepts. Once the rules are at your fingertips, then the sentence is short or long, it doesn't matter. You will be able to spot the error. Not only that, once you learn something, any objective type exam, you should practice thousands of questions. Thousands, not hundreds. Only then you can. Otherwise, what is the point in learning present perfect passive voice? Please ask yourself, already have learned present perfect passive voice. A question has been given about that. You cannot spot the error. So it cannot be justified. Now let us move on to the next one. Question number 8. The Prime Minister's speech laid out. Please underline the verb. What is the actual verb here? L-A-Y, lay. Lay has two different meanings. One is to put down. She laid the bag on the table yesterday. Put down the bag. What is the second one? To establish rules and regulations. Generally it goes with to talk about the rules and regulations. The Prime Minister's speech laid out how important it is to encourage female. Female is which part of speech is it? In this context, it cannot be a noun. Yes? Adjective. What is the word? If female is adjective, what should be the next word? Which part of speech? Noun. Participated is a verb form. It could be an adjective or a verb. But here, what is the noun form of this word? Participants. So please correct it. To encourage female participants. You have a question? So, participated is not correct. I will read out the Prime Minister's speech laid out how important it is to encourage female participants. Please correct it. Participant, singular. What is the plural form? Participants. How many of you have got this one correct? Quite a few. Please make a note related to nouns, part of speech, noun. Question number 9. After his term in the Department of Defense, he was appointed Secretary of Energy, a job in which he was strongly supported. Do you find any error in the third part? A job in which he strongly supported the use of, or he was strongly supported the use of. He strongly supported. What does it mean? Was should not be there. He supported. How he supported? He strongly supported the use of what? There's one more error. Can you tell me what it is? Will you say alternate sources or alternative sources? So please correct it. Alternate is not correct. It should be alternative. So one, he strongly supported the use of alternative sources of energy, such as nuclear energy. Again, when you think of alternative sources of energy, you should think of renewable sources of energy or non-conventional sources of energy. I think some of the students are preparing for, there's one bank exam next month. Which one is that? No, NABARD, I think. Am I right? So this topic is very important. They may ask a passage. Some students were asking me list of important topics. Renewable sources of energy or non-conventional sources of energy are very important. It's an important topic. So again, you should ask yourself, do I have information about renewable sources of energy? So generally, what are those? Can you list out a few? Renewable sources of energy: solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, hydro also. Yes. Now let us move on. What is the question number? Question number 10. As GDP growth is half of what? This is damn easy. First you underline the time phrase, a few years ago. That means what? Present or past? Past. Then can we use the to be in present? No. So what is it? Was. It should not take more than a second to spot the error here. And there's no need to read the remaining part of the sentence. You can save your time that way. See, yesterday also I ran out of time. It's already 2:30. We'll do it a little fast. So this parajumble also, I have a feeling we have done already. So what is this parajumble about? So what is the first sentence? The Indian education system is built on the presumption. Presumption means what? Assumption. Presumption means that if something is good for one child, it is good for all children. That is the reason why today, across the country today, of course, parents have changed of late. In the past, every family, engineer or doctor, no third option. So because of this, something like this. So what is the first sentence here? C is the first sentence. Actually, this parajumble has 3 ideas. How many sentences are there? 6. Of these 6, 2 sentences go with one idea, the first idea, and 3 sentences go with the second idea, and 1 sentence goes with the third idea, that is a conclusion. So what is the second sentence here? Related. If you remember, I said generally writers, because paragraphs are very short, they want to make them interesting. They make a statement, they try to substantiate. They make a statement, they try to give an example. They make a statement, they try to present a contrasting idea. So fact, a contrasting idea. Now, do you find a sentence with a contrasting word? Please respond. Which one is that? Look at F. What does it say? If, however, we can effectively decentralize education, and if the government did not obsessively control what would be the syllabus and what will be the method of instruction, there could be an explosion of new and innovative courses geared towards serving various niches of learners. Please underline the word niche, niches, specific. Generally, this goes with business terminology. The combination word is niche marketing. Not general marketing. You are catering to a particular segment of the society. Then you target them. That is called niche marketing. That's an important word, but it goes with business terminology. Now here, first he says, how is Indian education? Then he presents an idea. He says, however, if they change their attitude, then it will bring in a positive result. 2 ideas, 2 sentences, 1 idea. So please make a note. F is the second sentence. Next 3 sentences go with 1 idea. He takes the example of what? Dance. Now what is the third sentence? A is the third sentence. Easy to make out how? There is an expression. Take for example, that is a clue. Take for example the market for learning dance. Third sentence, but the second idea, first sentence. What is the next one? Here you may get confused between D and E. So what is the next sentence? Is it D or E? It is, what is the previous one number? A is what? 3. The fourth sentence is, E is the fourth sentence. There are very different dance forms that attract students with different tastes. Adding more information to that with the expression, what is the fifth sentence? More importantly. This is a phrase that tries to emphasize, more importantly, different teachers and institutes have developed different ways of teaching dancing. So this is the fifth sentence. Now what is the concluding sentence? B. What does B say? This could never happen if there was a central board of dancing education which enforced strict standards of what will be taught and how such things are to be taught. Easy one or difficult one? How many of you have got this one correct? I think that don't depend on the key. The key, I think, is not at all correct. So forget about the key. At this stage, you should know for sure what is right, what is wrong. Never ever depend on the key. If the passage is very complex, perhaps you have to cross-check. Now what are the next? Next one is passage. What is the next one? Passage. This passage again, see first I don't know whether you can make out or not. I will try to explain. I am trying to give a skill. At least some of you may get, I am sure you will get this skill. What is it? How to read a passage. What is that I am trying to, when I present information this way, what is my intention, what is the skill I am trying to impart to you people? I want you to get an idea about how to read a passage. Every passage, every writer, when he or she writes a passage, thinks of 5 or 6 ideas, maximum 10 ideas. And generally each idea is called a major idea. Then because he has to write a passage, because he has to substantiate what he or she does, each main idea he supports using 2 or 3 sentences. They could be examples, they could be the survey results, they could be anything. But usually one main idea, 2 or 3 sentences supporting that particular idea. So here, first don't look at the text, look at the framework. The first number, see the numbers also. That is the first main idea. Based on that, he has written 2 sentences. He talks about 2 points, the first and the second. This is rather easy compared to the one you got yesterday. The first, there he talks about negative growth in people's disposable incomes. That is a major idea again. The second, he talks about fragmentation of consumer markets. He elaborates these 2 points down the line. So main point, then he talks about 2 aspects, first, second. Then he presents one more main idea, second one. But from there he jumps to the third idea goes with here first and second. Remember first and second. So if you see the lines, the third idea talks about what? See, this is the first one. Then here 2, 1, 2. Then a new idea. Then he goes to the first idea here. This is all about, the third point is what? The first one, what he presented, he has already presented. And the next one is about the second point. The second point. Then he elaborates the same one. There are two main ideas here. For each idea is written so many sentences. Next he presents about consumer behavior. There again he uses two paragraphs. And why this red block? If you go to the previous page, here the second major idea, what is it? He talks about in response. First he presents one idea, then he says what is the response. First he talks about consumer behavior, the changes. Then he talks about the response of the companies. He talks about particular segment. In response, companies must dramatically shift the route they take to reach consumers in terms of, he talks about two aspects here. One is both product distribution and communications. So this red block, two dimensions. If you take the second page, this first one, point number 6, talks about the product distribution, channels. Channels here, what does it mean? The product distribution. And the second one, it talks about the communications, the media. See how he has taken. And finally he conclusion, the last one. Actually I wanted to, this way, I don't know to what extent you will be able to get an idea, but I wanted to give a handout. Unfortunately, there is a problem with the machine, photocopying machine. Maybe tomorrow I will try to give a handout, the yesterday's passage and today's passage also. Do spend some time. Try to get an idea how the information is presented, how the writer, one idea supporting sentences, one more idea, then he did not support that particular idea. Then from the first idea, he has taken the 2 points. First point, he has given some he has used a few sentences. The second point, he has used a few sentences. Then he presented a new idea, the fifth one. And he supported that one, a lot of sentences. And the last two paragraphs about, or the points about what he mentioned in the second point, the red block. So it goes that way. Because so many sentences are there, I don't think I'll be able to read out. Yesterday also I ran out of time. But what I'm going to do, today we'll see the answers. But tomorrow once you get the handout, read the passage from this angle, then we'll spend some time on that. Okay? Now we'll see the questions. It's nearing 2:40. Question number 16, we have done only 50%. Which of the following is most nearly the same in meaning? Shrinking. So based on the context, shrinking, business is shrinking. So what is the answer here? So it is a negative word. Shrinking is a negative word. We cannot take developing, a positive word. Annoying, not relevant in the context. Hold the third one. Wasting, again not relevant in the context. Rising is a positive word, you cannot consider. So shrinking means what? Narrowing. So what is the answer here? The third option is the answer. This is an easy one. Question number 17. As mentioned in the passage, CPG companies may have to reassess their present strategies of operating. 1. To retain their customers, keep pace with changing consumer preferences as they have access to multiple media channels, make more cost-effective decisions. So what is the answer here? Whether you read the passage or not, common sense, you can tell yourself, all the three are important for the business. So what does it mean? What is the answer here? The third option, all the three, A, B, and C. For this, you don't have to read the passage. This passage, though it looks complicated, in my opinion, very easy to get 6 marks, beyond any doubt. Okay. Question number 18. Variegated. Usually this goes with, if you study botany, when they describe the shapes of leaves, they use this, variegated. Again, they use the colors of leaves or animals. So what is the meaning of that? Diverse. Variegated means what? Different, diverse. So as simple as that. The answer is the first option, different. Now question number 19. In the context of the passage, which of the following trends existed otherwise but is now being manifested in buying groceries as well? Here there is an error with the key. I think the key says which option? Second option. What does the key say? Second option. But if you read the passage, those who have read the passage, what is the answer? Who said fifth option? That's the right answer. Very good. Clearly mentioned in the passage, he talks about buying liquor. Then immediately he uses the word variegated shopping style. So it is related to what? Consumers prefer buying goods from a variety of stores. So what is the answer here? The fifth option is the answer, not the second one or third one. I don't know what the key says. As mentioned in the passage, one of the most critical factors that aids in catering to the needs of consumers is persuading them to purchase goods produced by the organization, assess their requirements and appropriately plan to meet them, offering them products that an organization regularly manufactures, concentrating only on being aware about changing preferences of consumers. So what do you think the answer is? Is it the second one or the fourth one? Fourth one, concentrating only on being aware about changing preferences of consumers. It's very specific. What is the second one? Assess their requirements and appropriately plan to meet them. Their requirement is based on their preferences. So this is a broader one. What does it mean? What is the answer? The second option is the answer, not the fourth option. So what is the meaning of shuttered? Shuttered, if you take any shop, you come across a shutter. While closing, they pull down the shutter. So what does it mean? Another meaning of shutter. Shutter down means what? To close. So he wants the opposite. Closed, similar meaning. Gratified, not related to this context. Gratified means what? Satisfied. Nearest, not related. Flourish. When do you close your business? When you don't do well. Don't do well your business. What is opposite? You do well. Do well, what is the other word? Flourish. Flourishing business. So what is the answer based on that? Fourth option is the answer. The central theme of the given passage is the shrinking market, shift towards offering luxury goods to consumers, products to offer consumers with squeezed pockets, to highlight products consumed by the middle class, gaining insight into changing consumer behavior towards CPGs. So what is the answer here? An easy one. It's all about consumer behavior and gaining insight. Underline the word insight. It's an important word. Insight means what? Understanding, awareness, insight, understanding or awareness. See, all the words, all the questions related to words, easy to answer, and title, easy to answer. 4 questions are there related to words. You can easily get 4 marks. Title 1, 5. And this one also a phrase. Which of the following correctly explains the meaning of the phrase, a handful of? So what is the answer? No, handful of doesn't talk about satisfaction. Handful, whatever you can get in your hand, is that limited or not limited? It is limited. So based on that, what is the answer here? Fourth option, limited. Handful of students are here. Only a handful of students answered the question. What does it mean? Only a few, limited. Question number 24. Which of the following is true in the context of the passage? The third option is the answer clearly mentioned in the passage, but differently. The text has been changed. The wording has been changed. Post-tax wages, especially of the middle class, for the middle class, are one of the critical factors which have reduced spending behavior of consumers. Same point has been mentioned in the passage. So what is the answer? The third option is the answer. The last one, what is it? Depressing opposite. Depressing is a positive word or a negative word? So encouraging, positive word, just hold that one. Sunny. Sunny is not relevant in the context. Doubtful, negative word. Light, not relevant. Nil, not relevant. So depressing, what is opposite? Has anyone, how many of you have got 6 plus? Only passage. This is not quite encouraging. A passage like this, it looks so critical, so complicated. Do you think it is simple or complicated, the passage? Very complicated. But the positive side or the brighter side, 6 marks. 1 reading, effortlessly you can score 6 marks. 4 related to words, 1 title, 1 the phrase, provided you read the passage. Now let us move on to the last one. Still, how many questions are there? Oh. So, a strong economy would improve livelihoods and give hope for the future, but the lack of reliable electricity in the country has contributed to holding back prosperity. He starts with a problem. What is the problem here? Lack of reliable electricity. Over the past 5 years, GOP growth has averaged 3% to, whatever the word, first you should think, to fight poverty and create jobs. So the context is a negative context. That means what? You cannot choose a positive word. So let us look at the options. What are the options here? Too much, too low, too required. Required. Too required, we don't say that. Too tough, not relevant. Too minimal. Just hold that one. Too much. No, you have to consider between the second and the fifth. Minimal, too minimal. It doesn't sound correct. So what is the answer? Too low. The requirement is too low. So what is the answer here? The second option is the answer. Over the past 5 years, GOP growth has averaged 3%, too low to fight poverty and create jobs. Demand for power outstrips. Demand for power, now we have to read differently. Demand for power, pause, outstrips what the country can produce, and once you produce something, what is the next step? Either deliver or distribute. So do you find the word deliver? Which option is that? So what is the answer? Obviously, the fifth option is the answer. So demand for power outstrips what the country can produce and deliver, full stop. Problem with punctuation. Planned and unplanned electricity outages of 12 to 16 hours daily nationwide. So here basically you have to choose a negative word, because outages, perhaps it is about losing out power cuts. So what are the options given here? Run, happens, plans, effect, hurt. So what do you think the answer is? Now let us look at the sentence again carefully. Planned and unplanned electricity outages of 12 to 16 hours daily nationwide. The negative word, business, aggravate unemployment and spark angry protests. Then definitely, when it comes to run, business is not correct. Happens, business is not correct. Plans, business is not correct. Had it been effect, it would have been correct, A-F-F-E-C-T. But what is the spelling here? Effect, not correct. So hurt business. When there are regular power cuts, that hurts business. So obviously, what is the answer here? The fifth option, hurt business, is the answer. Now he talks about a positive sentence. There is a positive sentence. What is it? The country has, whatever the word, energy resources, an estimated 186 billion tons of coal, over 1 lakh megawatts of hydro potential, and wind potential of up to 3,46,000 megawatts. So here we have to choose a positive word. So what are the options here? I think by mistake, ample, fix, worst, frequent, paucity. There's only one positive word. Which one is that? Ample. So what is the answer here? The first option is the answer. But the technology and investment too, these resources are limited. To what? To lack, to solve, to waste. Waste cannot be. To lack, negative word, waste, negative word. We don't use the word solve in this context. To advantage, again not correct. Generally we have the resources. What is the word we use? We should exploit the resources. So it's a typical expression, exploit the resources. So what is the answer? The fourth option is the answer. Today I have done a little fast. I don't know, a little fast or very fast, that you have to decide. It's a good paper, and has anyone got 25 plus? How many of you have got 25 plus? Please raise your hands. 1, 2. Give them a big hand. And 20 plus is also highly appreciable. 20 plus, please give them a big hand. Others, nothing to worry. Please remember, grammar part usually you get only 5 or 10 marks, not more than that. Don't depend heavily on grammar. Don't waste your time on